There is a word in Japanese pro wrestling that cannot be fully translated. Tōkon. Fighting spirit, the soul of battle. The belief that the body may break, but the will never does. Antonio Inoki built an empire on that word. He made it the foundation of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the heartbeat of a generation, and the standard by which every Japanese wrestler would one day be measured. Most wrestlers speak of Tōkon with reverence. Sareee carries it on her back every time she steps through the curtain. She grew up with Inoki's voice as her alarm clock, literally. A recording of his legendary catchphrase, Genki desu ka? Are you in good health? Woke her every morning. His poem, Michi, the road, was memorized before she could fully understand it. And when she finally stood face to face with the man himself, he looked at her red ring gear and said simply, "Red suits you. I think that's good." Those words became a covenant. This is the story of Sareee, a woman forged in pain, crowned in blood, and burning with a fire that the wrestling world has never quite seen before. The Sun God has arrived. The making of a fighter. Before Sareee ever laced up her boots, she was already being shaped into something extraordinary. Her father was a devoted Antonio Inoki fanatic, and that is not an exaggeration. The Inoki philosophy wasn't something discussed at the dinner table. It was the air inside their home. Inoki's theme music played in the background. His poem, Michi, was recited like scripture. And the belief that pro wrestling was, at its core, a genuine battle, not performance, not theater, but war, was woven into her understanding of the world before she was old enough to question it. She didn't choose pro wrestling. Pro wrestling chose her through the blood of her upbringing. But belief alone doesn't build a wrestler. The body must be broken and rebuilt. And Saree's path to the ring began with a test that would have ended most people before they started. The day before her pro wrestling tryout, she injured her back. Not a strain, not a pull, a crack in the bone. She did 1,000 squats anyway. She passed. This is the foundation of who Sareee is. Not talent, not size, not natural gifts. Pure, unreasonable, almost frightening refusal to stop. When she dislocated her elbow early in her career, she taped it up and competed. When her seniors told her a broken bone isn't an injury, she didn't recoil from the harshness of those words. She absorbed them. She built herself around them. Her early years were not triumphant. They were humbling. Rivals like Hashimoto Chihiro and Iroha Takumi were bigger, more powerful, more physically imposing. Sareee looked at them and felt something she rarely admits: doubt. The creeping sense that maybe she didn't belong at the top of this world. But doubt, for Sareee, is not a door that closes. It's fuel. "Everyone thought I would lose," she has said. "That's what made me so angry. I refused to lose in spirit, even when I couldn't match them physically." That anger, that refusal, that unshakable core of competitive fire. This is the direct inheritance of Inoki's Tōkon, not the imitation of it, the living expression. When Inoki passed away in October 2022, the wrestling world mourned. Sareee mourned too. But she also made a decision. She would not simply grieve the legend, she would carry him. And that meant one thing above all else. She had to become the best. Not the most popular, not the most marketable, the best. the strongest. Blood, gold, and the making of a champion. By 2018, Sareee had been in the wrestling business long enough to understand the truth of it. Respect is not given. It is extracted through sacrifice, through suffering, through moments where lesser people would have walked away, and you simply don't. She was ready to extract it. Her first target was the top of her home promotion, Diana, and that meant going through WWWD World Champion Kyoko Inoue, a legend of the Japanese women's wrestling scene, a veteran whose career spanned decades, a woman who had seen every kind of challenger imaginable. Sareee had a plan, the urawaj, the back suplex, her signature throw executed with a snapping precision that made it look almost casual, even as opponents crashed to the mat with violent force. She hit it 12 times in a single match. 12. Not because she was desperate, not because she was panicking, because she had decided, with cold and total clarity, that Kyoko Inoue was going to stay down. And she kept throwing her until she did. When the 3 count came, Sareee didn't celebrate wildly. She didn't break down in tears. She simply reminded herself, this is not the destination. This is the starting line. The championship was a beginning, not a reward. Her first title defense would prove that in the most brutal way possible. She chose Aja Kong. Let that sink in for a moment. Aja Kong, one of the most feared, most decorated, most physically punishing competitors in the history of Japanese women's pro wrestling. A woman who has ended careers. A woman who throws weapons the way other wrestlers throw punches. A human wall of controlled violence who had seen younger challengers come and go for decades. Sareee didn't ask for an easy first defense. She demanded the hardest one available. The first match, in December 2018, was a destruction. Kong dismantled her, took the championship. Left Sareee with nothing but pain and a question she had to answer. How badly do you want this? The rematch, February 2019, provided the answer, and it nearly cost Sareee everything. No rules, no disqualifications, weapons legal. Kong split her open, a 1-gallon tin can to the skull, delivered with the casual brutality of a woman who has done this 1,000 times. Sareee bled, not a trickle, not a dramatic movie blood moment, a real arterial flood from the top of her head that required 8 stitches to close after the match. She lost that fight too. 8 stitches, a second loss to the same opponent. The championship still gone. Most people would recalibrate at this point, find a different path, pick a different mountain to climb. Sareee picked May 12th, 2019, and she climbed the same mountain again. This time, she reached the top. In a match that represented everything she had sacrificed to get there, Sareee finally pinned Aja Kong. Not with luck, not with a fluke, with the urawaj, her back suplex, and the accumulated force of months of pain and preparation finally detonating at the right moment. She had her championship back. But 2019 was not finished with her yet. 1 month before the Kong rematch in April, Sareee had stood across the ring from another legend who held a specific emotional weight in her career, Meiko Satomura. Meiko Satomura, technically precise, devastatingly experienced, and the opponent Sareee had faced in her debut match as a professional, the woman against whom Sareee had measured herself since the very beginning. She had never beaten her. Until April 2019. The urawaj connected, the 3 count fell, and in that moment, Sareee didn't feel like a champion or a star or a future WWE signee. She felt, for the first time, certain. "I finally knew," she has said, "that what I had been doing wasn't wrong." Then came June, and Hashimoto Chihiro, the rival, the measuring stick, the woman who had loomed over Saree's career as both an inspiration and an obstacle. Bigger, more powerful, a physical presence that had made the younger Sareee feel inadequate in ways she rarely admitted. Sareee outbeat her too. WWWD World Championship, Sendai Girls World Championship, both titles, both hands, at the same time. Double champion. And somewhere in Tokyo, in the offices of WWE, a man named Triple H had been paying attention. Pro wrestling's most powerful executive sent a direct offer to a woman who had bled, broken, and refused to quit her way to the top of Japanese women's wrestling. The world was watching now. Sareee and Iroha Takumi. Spark rush. There is a particular kind of relationship that only exists in professional wrestling. Not friendship exactly, not rivalry exactly. Something that contains both and transcends both. A bond forged through genuine combat, through years of standing across the ring from someone and learning the shape of their soul through the violence exchanged between you. Sareee has that with Iroha Takumi. They have known each other since they were both young wrestlers trying to figure out who they were supposed to become. And from the beginning, Iroha represented something complicated for Sareee, a source of insecurity that transformed, over years, into something like fuel. Iroha was bigger, more naturally powerful, the kind of physical presence that Sareee, by her own admission, sometimes envied in her younger years. She looked at Iroha and saw everything she wasn't, at least on the surface. But she also saw a competitor she could never stop chasing. "I refused to lose to her in spirit," Sareee has said, "even when I couldn't match her physically." That refusal became the foundation of one of the most compelling long-term rivalries in modern Japanese women's wrestling. And then, in May 2025, something unexpected happened. Iroha Takumi called Sareee and asked her to be her tag team partner. Sareee said yes immediately. "We've been fighting each other since we were young," she explained. "That means I trust her completely." The team they formed, Spark Rush, felt, to anyone watching, like two generators being connected. The power output was immediate. Within 1 month of formation, they had captured the AAAW Tag Team Championships, one of the most historic tag titles in Japanese women's wrestling. But what made Spark Rush something more than just a successful team was what happened in the training gym, away from the cameras. They trained together. Not just in the wrestling gym, Sareee brought Iroha to a mixed martial arts gym. The kind of training that shapes the body, and more importantly, shapes the mind. The kind of work that has no audience, no crowd reaction, no moment where you can coast. Sareee had noticed something about Iroha. Behind the natural power, behind the career accomplishments, there was a fighter who sometimes deferred, who let others take the spotlight, who, in Saree's words, held herself back. "I want you to be greedier," Sareee told her. "Stop being so considerate. Take what you want." This is the Inoki philosophy in its purest interpersonal form. The belief that fire can ignite fire, that the truest form of respect you can offer a fellow competitor is to demand more of them than they demand of themselves. Iroha responded. The dormant fighter inside her awakened. and Spark Rush became something the Japanese women's wrestling scene hadn't quite seen before. Two top-tier singles competitors functioning as a genuine unit, neither one diminished by the partnership. At the same time, both women continued to climb individually. Sareee held the IWGP Women's Championship. Iroha captured the GHC Women's Championship. Two partners, two separate promotion titles at the same time. The landscape of Japanese women's wrestling was, in the most literal sense, being divided between them. Then came May 5th, 2026. Iroha's AAAW Singles Championship on the line. A singles match between two partners who had spent the previous year rebuilding their bond into something deeper. Sareee entered that match with a declaration that captured everything essential about who she is. Because I believe in her, I'm willing to destroy Spark Rush to fight her. I'm coming for everything. She wasn't performing. She wasn't working the angle. She meant it. The match lasted over 20 minutes. It was, by any measure, a war. The kind of collision that happens when two fighters who know each other completely refuse to hold anything back. Every exchange carried the weight of 15 years of shared history. Iroha won. Sareee lost. And in the moments after, Sareee, who almost never shows the full depth of her emotional interior, broke. I'm so frustrated I lost, but I felt your strength so deeply it hurt. Thank you for being my greatest rival, and thank you for standing beside me as Spark Rush. She was crying, not from the pain of defeat, from the overwhelming weight of what the fight had meant. This is the truth about Sareee and Iroha that no championship belt can fully capture. The rivalry makes both of them better. The partnership makes both of them stronger. And the fact that those two things coexist, that you can genuinely try to destroy someone in the ring and genuinely treasure them outside of it, is what makes their relationship one of the most extraordinary in the sport today. Iroha, for her part, said this: "The reason I made it this far is because you were there. I want us to go to other promotions together. Go overseas together. Take every belt there is. Two women, one soul, pointed at the entire world." Antonio Inoki once said, "This one match for the sake of living a burning life." Sareee has lived that philosophy in a way that even she might not fully articulate, through cracked vertebrae and 8 stitches and 12 back suplexes and the tears of a defeat that felt more like love than failure. The day after she captured the IWGP Women's Championship, she didn't go to a celebration. She didn't do press interviews. She went to Inoki's grave and she told him, "Even in today's women's pro wrestling, there is still real fighting here. There is still Tōkon." The sun god burns. Not because the lights are on her, because she cannot stop.